Well, hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to Library Class at Home with Mr. S. I hope you guys are having a great week. Today, the weather's supposed to be a little nicer. I know it was a little rainy the past couple of days. Hopefully, today the weather is a little nicer because I want to get outside into my backyard. Not too far, though, because I'm still social distancing. That means I'm not getting too close to other people, even when I go to the store. But I like to go outside, especially with the weather turning nice, and look at all the great things that are happening during springtime out in my yard. Well, anyway, we are reading The Mouse and the Motorcycle by Beverly Cleary. Last time we read Chapter 8, and in Chapter 8, there was a family reunion inside the mouse hole. Everybody wanted to ride Ralph's motorcycle, but if you remember, Ralph lost the motorcycle. And then Keith came back to the room and said, "All right, Ralph, hey, where's the motorcycle?" And Ralph had to tell him that he lost his motorcycle, and Keith was not very happy about that. So we're going to find out what happens now in Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is called Ralph Takes Command, and I hope he figures out how to get that motorcycle back, both for him and for his friend Keith. So, here we go. It was a sad night for Ralph, a sad and lonely night. If he went back to the mouse hole, his mother was sure to worry him with embarrassing questions about that motorcycle. She would also expect him to help clean up after the family reunion. If he took off his crash helmet, he could squeeze under the door and explore the hall on foot, but he could not bear to part with that helmet. And anyway, he had no desire to travel by foot where he had once ridden with such noise and speed. Ralph scurried through the shadows on the floor to the curtain, which he climbed to the windowsill. There he sat huddled and alone, staring out into the night, listening to the kissing sounds of the bats as they jerked and zigzagged from the eaves of the hotel, through the pines and back again. Around the window, the leaves of a Virginia creeper vine shifted in the breeze, and down in the lobby a clock struck midnight. An owl slid silently through the night across the clearing of the parking lot from one pine to another. Ralph could remember a time when he had envied bats and owls in their ability to fly, but that was before he had experienced the speed and power of a motorcycle. Early in the morning, the smell of bacon drifted up from the kitchen and brought back all of Ralph's dreams of the ground floor. It was not long until he was embarrassed to discover that Keith was awake and lying quietly on the bed watching him. "Hey," said Keith. "Oh, hello." Ralph wished he had returned to the mouse hole before dawn. "Well, I guess it's time for me to go home to bed." Keith sat up. "Don't go yet. Wait until my folks get up." Ralph leapt to the floor. "I didn't think you would want to talk to me after I lost your motorcycle." "Hey, I may never have another chance to talk to a mouse." Ralph was flattered. It had never occurred to him that the boy would consider talking to a mouse anything special. "What would you like for breakfast?" asked Keith. "You mean we still get room service after what I did?" "Sure." Keith pulled his knees up under his chin and wrapped his arms around his legs. "You mean you aren't mad at me anymore?" said Ralph. I guess you might say I'm mad, but I'm not real mad," Keith decided. "I've been lying here thinking. It wouldn't be right for me to be real mad, because I get into messes myself. My mom and dad tell me I don't stop to use my head all the time." Ralph nodded. "I guess that's my trouble too. I don't stop to use my head." "They say I'm in too much of a hurry," said Keith. "They say I don't want to take the time to learn to do things properly." Ralph nodded again. He understood. If he had waited until he had learned to ride the motorcycle, he never would have ridden off the bedside table and into the wastebasket. "I'll never forget the first time I rode a bicycle with handbrakes," said Keith. "I took right off down the hill. I had always ridden bicycles with foot brakes, and when I got going too fast, I tried to put my foot brakes on, only there weren't any." "What happened?" Ralph was fascinated by this story. "By the time I remembered to use the handbrakes, I hit a tree and took an awful spill." Somehow this story made Ralph feel better. He was not the only one who got into trouble. "The hard part is," said Keith, "I am in a hurry. I don't want to do kid things. I want to do big things, real things. I want to grow up." "Well, you look pretty grown up to me," said Ralph. Maybe to a mouse, said Keith, but I want to look grown-up to grown-ups. Ah, so do I, said Ralph with feeling. I want to grow up and go down to the ground floor. Everyone tells me to be patient, said Keith, but I don't want to be patient. Me neither, said Ralph. Someone stirred next door in room 216. Well, I guess I better be running along, said Ralph. Say, what about that breakfast? Sure, what do you want? Ooh, how about some bacon, suggested Ralph, remembering the fragrance that had floated up to the windowsill. And some toast, with jelly, said Ralph, and ran off to the mouse hole, eager to tell his family things were not so bad after all. They were still entitled to room service. But when Ralph reached the mouse hole, he found pandemonium. His brothers and sisters and cousins were huddled together, squeaking with fright. His mother picked up a bunch of shredded Kleenex and put it down again, only to pick up another bunch as if she didn't know what to do with it. Uncle Lester and Aunt Dorothy were there too, stuffing crumbs into their mouth as if they expected to never eat again. Dear me, Ralph's mother was saying, whatever shall we do? Oh, Ralph, there you are at last. Where on earth have you been? Never mind, we haven't time. Time for what? Said Ralph. What's going on around here anyway? The housekeeper, your Uncle Lester, the sheets. Oh, do be quiet, everybody. Ralph's mother was so agitated she could not tell her son what was wrong. Uncle Lester swallowed a mouthful of crumbs. It's like this, Ralph. The housekeeper discovered a hamper full of sheets and towels and pillowcases with holes chewed through them. Uh-oh, thought Ralph. Whatever happened was all his fault. He should have known. I heard her telephoning the manager about it from her office, continued Uncle Lester. The manager came up and called in all the maids and the bellboys, and everyone had to look at the holes chewed in the sheets. It was quite a powwow. The motorcycle, thought Ralph. What had happened to the motorcycle? There might be a chance that it did not go into the laundry after all. You didn't happen to see a motorcycle in the housekeeper's office, did you? He said. I was listening, not looking, said Uncle Lester. I am not foolhardy like some people around here. Ralph, you know what this means, his mother said. She managed to pull herself together, just that much. It means war on mice, said Aunt Dorothy, very ominously. It means traps and poisons, said Uncle Lester. Who knows? This time the management might even spend money on an exterminator. We shall have to flee. There is nothing else to it. And if we flee, the owl will get us, said Ralph's mother, causing his brothers and sisters and cousins to set up an awful squeal. Shh! The mother mouse fluttered her paws in alarm. Flee? Ralph was bewildered. You mean leave and leave room service? Room service, said his mother. How can we expect room service after you lost that poor boy's motorcycle? Oh, it's all right, Ralph assured his mother, and could not resist adding rather grandly, I've already ordered. Room service is bringing us bacon and toast with jelly. This news silenced everyone. A breakfast of bacon and toast with jelly delivered to the mouse nest without first being dropped on the carpet was not to be abandoned lightly. We want jelly! We want some jelly! All the little cousins began to squeak. Be quiet, ordered Uncle Lester. Do you want them to find us? Ralph knew that no matter what the others chose to do, he was not going to flee from that hotel. Not until he found out what had happened to the motorcycle. He was very sure of this, and all at once he felt calm and clear-headed as he had never felt before. He knew exactly what his family should do. Be quiet, everybody, Ralph ordered, standing up straight so all his relatives could see him. I will tell you what we are going to do. See here, Ralph, interrupted Uncle Lester. You are pretty young to be giving orders to your elders. Now, Lester, said Aunt Dorothy, let's listen to Ralph. After all, he has our food brought up by room service. No one else in the history of the family has managed that. This silenced Uncle Lester, and Ralph was allowed to continue. What we should do is keep quiet for a few days. Here he looked down at his little cousins, who for once in their lives were not squeaking. I will arrange for room service to bring our meals so we won't have to go scrabbling around in the woodwork or scrounging around in the rooms. That way we won't be tempted to taste any poisoned food or go near any traps. And if management doesn't see or hear us for a few days, they will forget about us. They always do. "Now, just a minute," said Uncle Lester. "This boy won't be here long. You know how it is with people, here today, gone tomorrow." Ralph had the answer. "This is only Saturday. He'll be here until Tuesday, because Monday is the 4th of July, and his father said he won't drive in holiday weekend traffic. He always brings us plenty. If we don't stuff ourselves, we can save enough to last until management forgets us." Uncle Lester nodded thoughtfully. That seems like a sound idea." "Yes, but Ralph, there is one thing that worries me," said his mother. "How are we going to tip room service? When people have a waiter bring food to the room, they always give a coin or two for his service. We don't have any money." Ralph had not thought of this. "If we are going to continue to accept room service, we must do the right thing," insisted his mother. "Don't worry, I'll think of something," promised Ralph, in the grand way he had acquired since he had ordered a meal set up to the mouse nest. And that, boys and girls, is the end of chapter 9. So the mice are in a little bit of a predicament. The humans that run the hotel found out about them. They may try to poison them or call an exterminator. But Ralph has an idea of how they can stay there. But he also feels like he needs to send a tip to the boy for bringing him food. I wonder what he can do to thank the boy for giving him food. Why don't you guys think about a way he could thank the boy for bringing room service and leave it in the comments section underneath today's video. Don't forget to click the turn in button and check back tomorrow as we read chapter 10 of The Mouse and the Motorcycle. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy in your houses and being helpful around your houses. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Spaghetti.
Are we rolling? Yeah. Ah, there's a bug in my water. Ugh.
You're still drinking it?
Ugh. Yum.